Employees set to receive bonuses, albeit at a little discount there. What has really changed amid the new financial regs and plan reforms?
Joining us now, John Taylor, President and CEO of the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, along with Maurice Tueg. He's partner at Capstone Partnerships. Maurice, here's the question. And we go back to what Jon Stewart had said, and that is, you pay your best people the bonuses. They had no best people. I know it was a tiny division in London that brought down the whole situation because of the bets they made, but they still haven't paid us back, so why should anybody get any bonus?
I think the thinking behind it is that these people can actually do the job, and so if you get rid of these people, you still got to hire new ones to kind of make everything up. So I think what they're trying to do is, in essence, trying to make these people whole, and in making them whole, they're saying it's going to be more expensive to get new people to kind of wind these businesses down.
All right. Well, John, you say that we need common sense rules to ensure fairness and accountability in the financial system. What about starting with one rule? Main Street should not be bailing out Wall Street. Wouldn't that be a place to start?
I think it is a good place to start. And frankly, I think you heard earlier from Liz that on average, they're getting between 400 and 500,000 in bonuses per employee at a time when, you know, they've lost and relied upon the American taxpayer for $180 billion of bailout funds and support funds. It's outrageous, but look, I guess we really know who controls things. I mean, if this was any other business, particularly a small business, and they did so miserably, horribly, first, the government wouldn't step in to help them, but secondly, they'd lay off their employees. They wouldn't be giving them $500,000 bonuses.
John, there's that sort of, we have to have it both ways kind of sentiment here. And number one, it's we want the government to make sure that this doesn't happen again, but by the same token, we also want these companies to become whole again. They've got to run their businesses. So we don't want the government too involved, but where's our money is the question.
Well, the government is too involved. I mean, they absolutely, we're in this. Every taxpayer has shored up this industry, shored up Wall Street. And look, I really recommend people look at the Americans for Financial Reform website and look at a lot of this is discussed. We can't get into in this detail, but I'm also here representing that great organization. But let me say that they should not be giving out bonuses. Perhaps they should give out something to keep people employed, to keep them engaged for future business. But if it's going to take $500,000 per employee, they probably need to look at another strategy. But in any case, they shouldn't be looking to the American taxpayer, because frankly, so many people have lost their jobs. What could be done with that same amount of money to allow blue-collar people to be able to have, you know, sustainable
By the way, a lot of producers are asking that question at CBS as far as Katie Couric is concerned. But Maurice, I'm going to turn to you now. What about the fact, I mean, big difference, as I mentioned to Elizabeth, was difference between AIG and these other banks is that the other ones have paid back the money. We're probably never going to see a huge chunk of that $180 billion returned to taxpayers. Doesn't that put AIG employees in a particularly different position?
Not particularly, no. I mean, I think AIG employers...
But the other guys paid back our money. The other guys are paying bonuses out of the money that they're earning in the private sector. These guys are still paying back money that they earn from taxpayers.
But AIG is still a huge company, and the nation and the world is still somewhat reliant on them. And so in essence, they got to pay the money back, but again, they still need to keep the right people to help them do it.
Then give them $100,000 a piece.
There you go.
Then they'll just go otherwise. Then they'll go elsewhere, Liz.
There's a line of people who were canned by Bear Stearns who would love to go and find a job somewhere else.
Can they do the job?
Not to mention Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley and a whole bunch of other firms. Can they actually get this
job done?
Yeah.
You know, Elizabeth McDonald is still here. We've talked before, EMAC, about how there is a brain drain to be considered in all this. There are a lot of foreign companies that are hiring. Would it really endanger the future of AIG, as endangered as it already is, if there was a brain drain from that company?
You know, what's tricky is we're talking about a company that needed to wind down a $1.8 trillion balance sheet, almost the size of the gross domestic product of France, and now it's around $900 billion. But some of these swap contracts have the inked in the contract that you have to have that trader at AIG sitting across the table. So it's tricky. In other words, if you break that contract, then that other party, the counterparty, could walk away, and that's a further drain on taxpayers. I'm not clear about how many of those contracts are throughout AIG, but certainly the talk on Wall Street. Listen, and David, you're and that is that, yeah, there's a brain drain. There's a lot of people on Wall Street who could sit in those chairs at AIG and resolve those trades.
David, if I may,
sure, John.
It's those same brains who actually created this crisis, who got us into this mess. So the drain may have occurred long before we had to bail out these companies. But
Maurice, is that fair?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think you've got, again, talent is talent, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And Dave, you and I were just talking that the markets are getting better. 2010 is going to be a better market.
Your business is getting better.
My business is getting better. We like it. The 2010 is going to be a better year than 2009, and if you want to get people who are really good to do this kind of work, you got to pay them.
All right.
I agree. That's fine. I'm all for, helping the companies stay afloat and not allowing the banks to disappear and stuff like that, because they get a lot worse. But it's not time right now to take big chunks of cake for the individual people.
And
they need
some
to
would
reduce
argue,
it.
when you say, Maurice, we should pay them, they are getting a salary.
They are getting.
This is a bonus that we're talking
about. But how do you
about.
define a salary, right?
Yeah, well,
I mean, this is also like people who are used to getting
a weekly check.
Most people don't have a trouble defining a salary. I'll just tell you that.
John Taylor, Maurice Tueg, we're not finished with this discussion, and Elizabeth McDonald, thank you all so much for coming in.
Thank you. And don't forget Neil Cavuto's exclusive Fox Business interview with Payzar